Welcome to I'm Spiritual Dammit. I'm your host, Jenniffer Weigel, and joining me in studio is psychic medium Sheri Jewel. Sheri, thanks for being on the program.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks for having me.
So I am fascinated by your story because, as you know, you reached out to me because you were told in a dream that you would be introduced to a writer's books, a series of books, plus one more, and actually that came true. So share with the listeners what happened, because this gift didn't hit for you until your 40s.
Yeah, I mean, I was just leading a normal life.
Right? A mom in the suburbs.
Yeah, and just going through stuff like everybody does.
Yeah, right.
And I started getting messages on my sleep. And one of them was, you will meet a woman who tells you to buy a series of books plus one more. Mm-hmm. So I woke up and I'm like, what the heck? You know, what's going on here?
So you wrote it down in a little book.
Yes, I did write it down. And a few weeks later, my dog was sick. Mm-hmm. And, okay, well, we'll just say it.
Yeah.
He had diarrhea, so I had to bring his poop into the vet. Mm-hmm. And, hey, what? It's true.
That's right. So you got to sample a dog do, and you're waiting to see the vet.
Yeah, that was interesting. Mm-hmm. And I started talking to a woman in the lobby, and I guess we were talking about psychics and stuff, and I was just starting to have trippy experiences, let's say.
Like coincidences where things happen.
Messages, dreams, stuff happening. And she said the exact words to me, I need to buy this series of books plus one more.
And one of those books was...
3 of the books were you.
Oh, okay. Got it. Because you were the
series of books.
Okay, she was reading I'm Spiritual Dammit for her book club, my second book. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then I went and bought the books, and I read all the books, and they were yours, and everything was like parallel to my life at the time.
Gotcha.
So then I kind of just was guided or knew I was supposed to like email you, and you probably thought I was nuts.
Well, the first time I was like, okay, there's dog poop, there's a dream, there's my books. Okay, I'll read this later. But no, once I realized you weren't a kook.
Yeah, right.
I wrote you back, and we had a good email relationship.
Well, I think we emailed for about a year, and then we lost touch. And then a couple years later, I was at the grocery store, and a woman who I hadn't seen like in 5 years, and I didn't know well, invited me to your event, and we met.
Got it.
Conversations with Weigel. And then I met you. And then you were doing the book club, and what happened when you went to the book club with Bridget?
Yeah, so this is pretty wild. So... And you came to my conversations with Weigel that I was doing with medium Thomas John, and we chatted, and then it was like, oh, let's reconnect, and let's go meet at Panera. And so we finally met in person, and then that's when you tapped in, and you said your head was tingling, you started getting stuff, and all this information started coming out of you, and it was like, it was coming fast and furious. And I said to you, well, how does this happen for you? And you said you hear it. It's like clairaudience is a big thing for you.
Yes.
And so you hear these things, and you just fire them off, and you have to be sure to stay out of your ego head, your Sheri head, because some things come through and you're like, what? That's not me. That word wouldn't be me. So I know it's spirit talking to me. So the way you would fire them off, I was like, this is fascinating. So then I was watching that happen. But yes, I was doing a book club for my new book, Psychics, Healers, and Mediums. And this woman, I told your story about being told while holding a bag of dog do to read a series of books plus one more. And that was my book. And she said, I was that lady. I was the lady in the vet. I was the one that told her, we were reading your book, I'm Spiritual Dammit. I remember that lady. So she and I took a selfie and sent it to you.
And I was like, yay, she knows I'm not crazy or
That's
lying.
Right. I was like, and actually true, that was validating that the story was real. Not like I thought it wasn't, but it was completely confirming the circle. And what are the chances that I would be in a book club? I do lots of book clubs for all those who are listening. If you like reading books, as long as you buy a few so I can pay the babysitter, I will come and talk about these books. And so for her to then say that was me, and then we took a picture and confirmed it and sent it to you, it's like, oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what people need to know is about following the signs or the guidance. And like, obviously I met you, well, I emailed with you 5 years ago, and here we're sitting now like 4 or 5 years later.
Right.
So it's pretty amazing how spirit synchronizes it all, and you just never know. You might meet somebody today, and look where you are 5 years later.
Correct.
So it's really, I believe, like synchronicity and us following the signs, the people that come into our life, our dreams, our guidance. And I just think a lot of people get it, and they're just not aware of it yet.
I also believe, and you're a prime example of this, that people get information in different ways. And, you've taken a lot of classes, so you went down this road full steam. Like you just went in and you took classes and learned to open chakras and learned about crystals and archangels and this, that, the other. What was your takeaway after taking all those classes?
I still do it my way.
Yeah. Right.
Because when my gifts opened, they just opened overnight. I just woke up a medium, and I was like, and archangels came, and I was, hugged by Archangel Michael, and they took over my hands typing and writing and all that kind of stuff. And I took the classes, and I guess it was good for me to see how other people do it. But I'm more of a rebel, so I guess I kind of still do it my way because I feel we have to all figure out how to do it for ourselves. But the classes are good to get, knowledge or information about energy work and stuff like that.
And it's good to get other people's perspectives and how it works for them.
But I still just do it my way, and I think that's we have to be authentic and do it our own way.
Right. And for you, the automatic writing is something. So if you sit and you start writing, stuff just starts coming through for you.
Yeah, it's weird. I just pick up the pen, and at the beginning, though, I could actually feel them take over my hand.
Okay.
It was very strange. Now I can just kind of, if I know I have to do a reading, it just turns on.
Right.
And it just goes.
Okay. And so a couple of examples. Give the listeners some examples of when you got some sort of message and you followed through with it, and it turned to be the right message.
Like something I did?
Yeah. I remember you told me that you just heard, go to church.
Buying your books.
Yeah, there you go. Buying my books. That was good.
Yes. So at the very beginning, it was very wild. You think you're going crazy, but I loved it. I just ran with it. I was never scared.
Right.
So I'm in my bedroom, and I was naked, getting ready to get in the shower. And all of a sudden, in my ear, so like clairaudience is in your head.
Right.
This is actually in my ear, like you were talking to me.
Yeah.
I heard a man's voice, very loud and firm, say, "Go to church." And I kind of jumped and I'm like, what the hell? And then it got louder and really yelled at me and said, "Go to church now, God's waiting."
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, hell.
And were you raised Christian? Or?
I was born Catholic, but I went to church.
Hadn't been in a while.
I went to church once a year at Christmas.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid always saying, I don't have to go to church, God's everywhere.
Right.
So it was kind of funny.
Again, still doing it your way.
Yeah. And so I got in. When you hear someone yell at you and tell you to go to church, you go.
Right.
And I just jumped in the shower and went to the local church, and I walked in there, and I'm like, hey, God, I'm here. What's up?
Right. Yeah.
And nothing happened there, but it was just, I think, teaching me and listening and knowing that God, the divine, is working with me and, and everybody. And then another time I was on the phone calling a psychic because I didn't know I was psychic then.
Right.
And she goes, "Archangel Michael's with you." So angels were a statue to me. I did not really ever think they were real or anything.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, lady, thanks. And right then I felt somebody stand behind me, and I felt every feather like enclose me like a cocoon. And the most like unconditional love and like bliss you could ever imagine. It's not even a human feeling.
Right.
So that kind of stuff started happening. And
I tell people all the time, until you have one of these experiences where it just totally rattles your cage, it's not going to change your perspective or your belief system.
No one's going to believe this stuff.
Yeah,
Unless it's happened to them.
Unless it happens to you,
Yeah.
And so what's the story about Teresa Caputo?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I started, other things that started happening to me is, besides the messages and dreams, people started coming to me in my sleep. And I would see them, and then I would meet them within a couple of weeks, such as Eric Soderholm from Soder World. He came to me in my dream. So one night, believe it or not, I fell asleep watching the Teresa Caputo Long Island Medium show. And I woke up, and I just instinctively, I was guided to grab my phone and go on Facebook. And I saw Teresa. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I fell asleep watching the show. Then I had a dream, and I saw Teresa Caputo in my dream.
Got it.
So, like I said, I always meet the people that I see in my dream. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to meet her. I'm in Chicago. She's in New York. So I wake up in the morning. I go on Facebook, and she was at Old Orchard. She was like, 15 minutes away from my home.
Right.
So I went to the book signing, and that's all she was doing. And basically, she signed your book. You're with her with like 30 seconds, and that's it.
Right.
Like just a line. So I'm standing there, and she's signing my book, like autographing it. She totally freezes, like you see her do sometimes. And her eyeballs just like looked up at me and froze. And, she's got she talks a lot, and obviously I talk a lot. We both were frozen, and neither one of us could really talk. And then all of a sudden, I actually saw her eyes change. So I don't know, if spirit stepped in or what happened.
Right.
I'm not really sure. And then all of a sudden, I found an energy ball thrown into my stomach. And it actually kind of hurt. And I was still kind of frozen. I'm like, oh, what the heck's going on here? That's pretty trippy.
Right.
And she stayed frozen, and I just looked at her. I'm like, okay, thank you. And then I walked away. So I really don't know.
She didn't say, here's some energy, honey.
You know what?
Just happened.
She froze. She never talked, which is unusual because she was talking to everybody else.
Wow.
So I'm not even sure she knows what was going on. So I don't know if it was just showing me what energy was because it was the beginning of my journey, if that was an energy transfer.
Sure, yeah.
I guess I'll probably never know.
Right. And then you met James Van Praagh, of course, best-selling author and medium, and you went to a workshop in California. Well, tell me about the first time you met James.
So, well, actually, I'd seen James like a year before the California event. So I'd gone to one of his public, or you pay for him at his events.
Right.
And he picked me out of a crowd, and he looked at me and goes, "Oh, you're a crazy medium like me." And he laughed, and that was it. So a year later, I decided to take his workshop in Chicago, and that's 2 or 3 years ago. And he called me down on the floor to do like a gallery style reading on people. And we hit it off. He was very nice. And right then, and he just said, "I want you to come to California," and he gave me his workshop for free.
Got it.
So I flew to San Diego and took his workshop for a few days. So that was great. And he was very kind, and so that was fun.
So when you work with other mediums, do you think that there's a camaraderie with mediums, or can there be some challenging sort of ego things that step in the way?
I'm sure that happens. People are people.
Right, sure.
I'm lucky. I've been really guided, and the right people have come into my life, and I personally have not had that, but I've witnessed sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So it just shows that everybody's human.
Yeah, just because you're a psychic medium, you try to be good all the time, but you still are human.
Right. You're still going to drink and smoke and swear.
Oh, I don't do that.
Okay. But truly, when the information comes to you, so I've seen you do gallery style readings, and as it's happening, you're kind of guided to the room, and you have a process. You like to sing a song or say a prayer or have everybody listen to music. You think that music raises the vibration. Talk to me about your process.
I guess I think a lot of people are psychics and mediums, but not everybody's spiritual. So I guess I feel very spiritual too. And I just kind of find I just kind of have everybody close their eyes first and just kind of relax, and then just invite spirit and their loved ones to come in, or the angels, or whoever wants to be there, or guides.
Right.
And just get everybody kind of almost like a meditating thing, or a little peaceful. And I think the music, and then I have everybody just think of unconditional love to raise the vibration.
Right. Right.
And I think that for me, it helps me. It puts me in a state of just that love state and empty mind.
Right.
And then it just seems like spirit just steps in. And then I don't even realize, when you saw me do that one gallery event, I hardly even remember it. So it's almost like trans mediumship. It just kind of
blurts out. And you do some psychic stuff too. Like some of the people on the other side have opinions about weddings that are coming up, or jobs that you might get. So it's not just the I see dead people stuff. You do the psychic stuff as well. Oh yeah,
the psychic information. I think when I do a reading, I can't tell you it'll just be psychic or mediumship. I think they always kind of both come in.
Right. Right.
And I just let spirit tell me what to say or write, and I just kind of step out of it, and spirit's always right.
Do you think, that's funny you say that, because people say no, and you're like, look, I know what I'm getting. Right. I know spirit's always right. And you say that. It's like, what I'm hearing is what I'm hearing. You can look it up later. That's happened a lot with you, hasn't it? Where people were like, or wasn't there that one book club that you did, and you were telling somebody something, and then she came back and confirmed it later that it was a friend?
Oh yeah. 2 days later, she reaches out to me. I didn't say anything, because I'm very, my mediumship brings up a lot of names.
Sure.
So I had said a certain name, let's say Susie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it was sad. It was a suicide and a hanging in her garage.
Ooh. And that was very specific. Like, you're not going to just randomly get that.
Who's Susie? She hung herself in the garage. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And somebody else, what's funny is there's 3 people there that had hung themselves.
So well, that's not funny, but yes, ironic.
So, right? It was pretty ironic. But it works that way, right?
Right.
There's a reason they were all there. So somebody else took the message. But then she reached out to me the next day, or the next day or two, and said that it was her relative and her sister or whatever. And she just... People have psychic amnesia, like when you're doing it.
Right.
It's like
they freeze up and they.
Or people they'll say, "Oh, that doesn't make sense," and then you know what? As a medium, we have to stick with what we hear, and we know what we're hearing in our head.
Right.
So when I hear something, I'm like, "Yeah, you can lie to me all you want. I'm sorry, spirit's narking you out."
It's true.
You can't bullshit a medium.
No. Well, you can try, but the medium's always going to come through. And Andrew Anderson, who I interviewed before you, was talking about how he had a mother and a daughter, and they said, "Oh, it's okay. We know everything about each other." Well, guess what? the daughter hadn't shared something with the mother. And there you go. It's like they're going to be able to, the spirits know what you're not sharing with your loved ones.
Oh, yeah. They'll, that's happened to me where a mother and daughter are in the audience and something comes out maybe that is personal.
Right.
But I can only say some mediums maybe don't say everything they hear. I have to follow my guidance. And at the very beginning, it's like, it was my higher self, God, I'm not really sure.
Right.
Came to me and gave me a few rules to follow.
Okay, what are your rules?
Only say what I hear.
Okay.
And a lot of teachers tell you to interpret and add on to things. I won't do it.
Okay.
So
you just say what you hear.
I only say what I hear. So if I hear dog track, I say dog track.
Right.
Because it will resonate with the client. The customer will know what it means, right?
Right.
Only speak truth.
Right.
Oh, and never use my gifts for anything bad or they'll be taken away.
or they'll be taken away.
Honest to God.
Yeah.
And I know it's a natural ability, but that's what they told me, so I stick with it. So, yeah, I'll never do anything bad with my gifts.
And by that, you mean like manipulate somebody with information so that you can get...
make stuff up or lie. I mean, who knows? There's kooky people out there that maybe do kind of negative stuff or whatever. I'm not into that. I've only had positive experiences. I've never had anything scary happen. I know there's a lot of people out there that are scared, or these mediums say, "Oh, bad stuff and all this stuff." I don't buy into it.
You don't play with the dark side.
I don't even know if there is one. I mean, I've never had anything bad. It's just been truly like a magic carpet ride.
Because a lot of mediums will say you got to protect yourself from the darkness. It exists. There's dark energies, or there are ghostbusters. The Bodines go to houses that are haunted. Let them do that. You don't want to go to any haunted houses and try to get rid of the spirits.
What's funny is before I was a medium, I used to ghost hunt, and I have all the equipment.
Oh yeah.
So I have had experience with ghosts before this, but now that
you used to ghost hunt like as a pastime.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I have the little machine that talks like you see on TV.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and it was real. But that doesn't interest me now with what I do now, because I just like the higher vibration, and it's the helping people and healing people. And, I kind of feel also we get what we focus on. So if you're fearful or you think there's demons or evil, you're going to create it. And
you attract it.
Yeah, I don't need to do that.
Okay.
It's not me.
Anything that you've gotten in any meditations or when you open up about the state of the world or anything that's happening, or for any listeners out there that maybe are caught up in their muck, what would you recommend that they do to try to raise their vibration?
Clear up your own shit.
Yeah.
Really heal yourself. Let's say there's bad marriages, or people are grieving, people are sad, job loss, finances. It's really doing the inner work on yourself and really finding that inner peace, and start meditating, start going to a spiritual center, or reading a book, or just whatever resonates with you, because everyone's got a different journey, right?
Sure.
But really, it is about healing yourself. And I've gotten messages in my sleep, and one was to me, healer, heal yourself.
Right.
So I really truly believe when you start cleaning up your own life, and stop blaming other people, it's basically, and actually surrendering too. So surrendering to God, to spirit, to your higher self. And really just, hey, call your guides and help me. Right. Show me my way. I'm sure you've done that. And pay attention. I mean, synchronicity is huge. I mean, everything became a sign to me. Like, people see 111. So many people are spiritually awakening now. So you start asking questions. Start saying, God, show me. My higher self, show me. My guides, come. Because they're all sitting there ready to help you. But if you don't ask, you have free will, they're not going to come in. Unless there's an emergency or something. Right. But just start seeking and see where it brings you, and trust if you get a message in your sleep or your dreams. My dreams are 3D real. I mean, did I really think I'd meet Teresa Caputo the next morning?
Right.
No.
But you did.
Yeah, and Jesus came to me one time in my sleep. And
what did he say? You guys messed up my message. Stop killing over my name.
Well, that was a funny story. So, I mean, okay. So, I'm asleep. I don't know what I'm doing when I'm asleep.
Right.
So I'm asleep, and I felt like I was pinned down in my bed. And that was actually probably the only scary thing I've ever happened. But I was sleeping, and I felt like my shoulders were pinned down. So in my sleep, I'm thinking I'm thrashing and turning. I don't know what I really was doing. And I'm like, God, help me. Archangel Michael, come help me.
Right.
And I'm freaking out, but I still stayed asleep. So all of a sudden, and I do have asthma, I hear in this loud voice, it's Jesus. I'm healing your lungs.
Ooh.
Well, but I was asleep, so again, I yelled at him.
Right.
I started fighting because everyone's like always warning you, people, the spirits can fake you out or whatever.
Sure.
So I'm like, how do I know you're Jesus?
Right.
I mean, seriously,
I'm
right?
asleep.
And then there's this other guy with him, and he was laughing hysterically. He was dressed up in like those Roman days and Caesar and those leather outfits with the little skirts with the ruffles.
Yeah. Okay.
He is cracking up laughing at me. And I looked at him and I said, I was really fighting. And I'm like, who are you?
Right.
And he's like, Nathaniel.
Okay.
I'm like, well, okay, well, great. Then I saw a little boy who was about maybe 1 or 2 years old in there, and he was playing with a toy.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of looked like one of my kids. And I did lose a child, so it might have been him.
Uh-huh.
And Jesus and Nathaniel took his toy away.
Huh.
Yeah, right? And I'm like, since when does Jesus take your toy away?
Yeah.
There's no way.
That's not cool.
No. And I'm like, this is, I'm still freaking out and fighting in my sleep. Then they made it appear to me that they stole my couch.
Okay.
Okay, right?
So now you're having a trippy dream. How much wine did you drink before this dream?
0.
Okay, got it.
So then I started yelling. I'm like, Jesus doesn't steal little kids' toys and
Exactly.
stuff like
So
that.
it must
right?
not have been Jesus.
Right. That's right.
Right.
Well, then all of a sudden, and this is how I'm taught, so I know it's real.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you have to give to receive.
Mm.
So in other words, we gave the toy, we gave the couch, and then I received the gift of healing.
Ah.
And then I had a bright white light, like he flashed a bright white light in my third eye and knocked me out.
Ooh.
But what's interesting is, so that's how I get taught in my sleep a lot, like, be benevolent, be merciful, heal yourself. I get these messages.
Right.
So a couple days later after that dream, I was still kind of flipped out by it. Like, was that
How was
Jesus?
your asthma, by the way, after that?
Oh, it helped.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So then I went to Walgreens.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a few days later after the dream, and there was a girl there, and her like credit card or debit card was denied.
Uh-huh.
And it was short 99 cents, which is 9's a very divine number, right?
Yeah.
In my head, as loud as can be, someone yelled at me and goes, pay for her.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, I'll girl, I'll
Yeah,
pay for
sure.
you, And, well, there was a lesson, though. You give to receive. So that kind of went with the dream. 2 days later, I'm in the same Walgreens. Very wealthy lady, forgot her wallet. And, again, it was 99 cents.
Did you pay for her, too?
And in my head, I said to myself, I know, I'm paying for it, yes. So I paid for her, too.
Okay.
But what was cool about her, though, is she then said, I'll pay it forward.
Good. So there you go.
So it was meant to be. And then I'm like, God, thank God it's not like $999.
Right, no kidding.
And I'm like, God, what's the third one going to be, right?
Totally.
So the third one was from actually a very good friend of mine for more money, which I'm not going to say.
Right.
But so then it ended. But that's how they teach me. So I guess when a lot of people do learn from the classes, etc., I've learned more from just Spirit of the Divine directly, and they give me experiences.
Sure.
I learn from the experience, I guess.
Okay.
That way better. And it really sinks in when you get it that way.
That's good. So any other messages that you've received that you could pass on? Give to receive is definitely a good one.
Right.
Healing the healer. You got to heal yourself. Definitely.
I've been driving, and it's flown in my head, be merciful.
Okay.
Another one was be benevolent.
Okay. Those are good.
And these are not words I use. You kind of know me a little bit now.
Yeah.
I don't use those words.
No kidding.
And I really think it's just, it's being kind. Not everyone has to be a professional psychic or medium or saving the world, but just help the person next to you. Like if I'm in a grocery store now and there's somebody that needs help, like one time I saw an older man emptying his cart. I'm like, can I help you?
Right.
Be nice to your neighbor.
Right.
Just
treat others the way you'd like to be treated.
It doesn't have to be a huge, throw a charity event for somebody. It could just be a simple, say hi to somebody.
Right. Do you think that we could be in the right place at the right time, just always used as little angels, whether we're at the bus stop?
Oh, everybody's a messenger.
Yeah.
Such as the lady at the vet.
Exactly.
Because I even asked her, I said, are you psychic? She said, no.
Right.
And she, even said, I believe we're all messengers. So, yeah, God's Spirit will use anybody. So, and they don't even know they're doing it.
Right.
So, yeah, pay attention. Your mailman might say something to you.
Get this book.
Somebody in the bathroom might say something to you. I mean, I know now I don't meet anybody by accident, and everybody becomes part of my life that I meet now.
Right.
For some reason or another. So, I'm a huge person in synchronicity because my life is very synchronistic. Hence why I'm sitting here, right?
Right.
And I just think once you become, it's really good to, I think once you get in alignment with your soul and your path and your purpose,
right,
everything just kind of like, it just falls, it's like dominoes. Everything just falls into place. And, I mean, we still struggle sometimes, psychics and mediums too, but like, what's next?
Right.
But it's really being present, trying to be in that present moment. And present moment really, truly is only breath.
Right.
Because I feel if you look behind you in your past, that can bring on depression.
Right.
Look in the future can give you anxiety.
Right.
So really the magic happens in that present moment, and just enjoy what you're doing at that moment.
Right. Perfect.
So if we could just, me and you are sitting here, concentrate on that, we may get spirit messages, right? Or
right.
But if we're thinking, oh my God, I got to drive and go to the grocery store and do, you lose what's happening in this moment then.
How do you get open? Like you say, your head starts to tingle. Do you say, hi, it's time for me to open? What is it that you do?
If I schedule a reading, I have a process, and I kind of like meditate 5 to 10 minutes before the reading. And I try to get in the present moment, and I breathe and just concentrate on my breath, like the inhale and exhales. Then I imagine connecting to God, and I think up. So I kind of think up to make the highest connection I can, because I don't want to just talk to dead people. I want to like the angels and God, right?
Right.
I want to go as high as I can. And I just keep breathing in like unconditional love. And you kind of just imagine it. Imagine like you're breathing in unconditional love. And then you just feel like you just open, and I feel like my head I feel like my spirit just lifts up higher. Then I, before I do the reading on the person, I will usually write stuff down, again, the automatic writing.
Right.
And I'll have like 2 pages of stuff written down even before I do the reading.
Gotcha.
And then when the person calls, the answers are usually already answered on the piece of paper I wrote.
Excellent. So did you ever think this was going to be your life when you were in the carpool in Glenview and all of a sudden you're getting whispers and having psychic dreams?
Hell no.
Yeah, right.
Do I think I would be sitting here in WGN right now? No.
Yeah.
Talking to dead people, being hugged by angels? No, because I was not a religious person.
Right.
I was not a perfect person. Nobody is. And yeah, I never, everyone's like, oh, you've always had it as a natural ability since you were a kid. I didn't know it. And basically, I truly believe, like my life, basically, I had a perfect life and then it got destroyed. Like one catastrophe after another, for health problems with people in my family, etc. So then you kind of fall into like a, depression or a sadness. But that's what it took for me to spiritually awaken. So I think
you had to lose everything to gain everything.
Yeah. And it's hell. It's hell going through, but you'll hear it over and over. If people, I think if anyone's listening to this, when you're at your worst point, that's sometimes where the magic, all of a sudden something just clicks and flips and the magic happens. So many people are spiritually awakening now, and they're losing everything. I mean, they're grieving, they're losing jobs, they're suffering. Their lives are being destroyed. But I really believe there's millions of people waking up now. So they're all going through this, and their lives are being destroyed. But it's to break open your heart and get you connected with your soul and surrender, basically.
Right.
And for some reason now they're saying forgiveness. So people have to forgive. That's just popping in my head right now.
Yep.
So I guess we have to learn they want me to say is learn how to forgive other people, and stop blaming people and let go. And, we create our own suffering is kind of what I'm hearing right now. So our thoughts create our suffering, and it's 333.
Yeah.
So there's our numbers. So we have to be, how can we say it? Responsible for how we think.
True. Because we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we continue to react to what happens to us.
Yeah, you control your actions and your reactions and everything like that. And again, it goes back to clean up your own stuff, self-awareness.
Sure.
Start being mindful and paying attention to your part in it, or what can you do to change. And when you do that, forgive your parents. Okay, they weren't perfect.
Right.
Forgive, let go, get rid of all the baggage you're holding on to.
Right.
Because all that stuff blocks you up.
Or your ex-spouse or your neighbor or whoever cut you off in traffic. I have so many people complaining to me about this, that, the other, these little things that happen. And we don't know what's going on in their life. I have a friend who's mad at their boss because their boss isn't talking to them. Well, maybe their boss just got, I don't know, served with the divorce papers or found out their husband has cancer. Or, we don't know. And never assume. It's the whole 4 agreements thing. Never assume.
Well, and I think when you continue blaming people for your life, like your parents were alcoholics or your parents hit you or your parents did this or whatever, you're living in the past and you're not dealing with your crap.
That's right.
They did the best they can. Everybody's an individual here for whatever reason. And you can learn something from maybe somebody that did something bad to you.
That's right.
And just take responsibility for your own part in things and your own actions and become more aware, and everything can really turn into a magic carpet ride. And I truly believe everyone here is supposed to spiritually awaken now. Yeah. And become their authentic self. You probably agree, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are doing it faster. Some people are,
But you can't shut it. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, people. We can't ignore that this is happening. The veil is lifting, and people need to get more awakened.
Well, yeah, we need to wake up, and it's to help the world and raise the vibration of everybody here. And the more people that wake up and raise their vibrations, the more we'll hopefully find world peace, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to take time.
Yeah, it's definitely.
But, some people think they got to, come out and save the world. No, you know what? Just be the one person. Help one person at a time.
Start in your house.
Yeah,
be great to your
start
kids.
Yourself,
right,
your kids, and start with your neighbor. You don't have to go searching for people. Just, whoever encounters your path.
Right.
You don't have to like be saving the whole world yourself.
Right.
Just do it one person at a time.
Agreed.
You know, and
if you want a reading with Sheri, we do a psychic salon. Actually, I call it the Spiritual Social Club at the Bottle Shop in Wilmette, the third Sunday of every month, from 4 to 6 p.m. For $50, you get a psychic reading with Sheri and 2 glasses of wine. I think that's a pretty great deal. So you can be in touch with either Sheri or myself. Sheri the Medium is spelled Sheri, themedium.com for Sheri Jewel, or you can email me at jenweigel.com, JenWeigel.com, or you can call the Bottle Shop in Wilmette. But either way, you can get on the list. There are a few slots every Sunday. It's only 8 people are allowed. So get on the horn and get in line so you can be with us in person. And stay spiritual. Damn it. I'm grateful for you, Sheri, for the work that you do.
And thank you. I'm very grateful for you.
Thank you. And I hope everybody out there does a little bit at a time. Just start with your immediate surroundings, everybody. Breathe into your heart and treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Oh, and stay spiritual, damn it. 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 And stay spiritual, damn it.